the first sentence of the fourth paragraph says, Kagwa Kwanasam Slaskawawa, Okokilikam Ankati. Kagwa Kwanasam Slaskawawa, Okokilikam Ankati. It means, thus always they said, those people long ago. And in real people English, that'd be like, that's what they always used to say, those folks long ago. So Kakwa is thus, always, they said, say, those people in the faraway past. You can't use Ankati for something you just did, but it's remote past.
Mm-hmm. That's a Chinook jargon past tense, and you lengthen the R. Ankati, Ankati.
Yeah. Yeah, you can make it be, you know, way back in ancient times, it could say Ankati.
Although I just read St. Ange wrote Tanas Ankati. Or
yeah.
Lately or something like that.
Yeah, well, and that is still not, you know, something you did 5 minutes ago. But it could be like the difference between, you know, a couple weeks.
In the last little while.
A few years.
So if we did do something 5 minutes ago, Dave, how would that be then? A marker for that?
The classic way is to say Chi Alta.
Ah, okay.
Chi Alta. Chi means just now, or you know, it means new. How about that? One of the uses of Chi is new, and Alta is now. So Chi Alta is new now.
And you would suggest that we hyphenate that or not?
Yeah, I like it. I like to think of it as a hyphenated kind of structure altogether.
Idiomatic kind of thing.
Because it certainly means something different than new and now. Yeah, it's the idea of something just now or just beginning. Yes, as well. I have a long sentence here. Rain, are you up for that one?
Sure. Excuse. Suppose moxt telecom klaska tiki iskam kanamoxt. Suppose ich yaka telecom wake yaka tiki wake kata klaska midlight klush kwanasam kakwa klaska wawa. Suppose mox telecom suppose two people they want to get together, they want to be together. Suppose one of their people not want suppose one of the people not he want Waikata, they Lord. Okay, sorry, wake kata, what would that be?
No how. No way.
Oh, no way. Okay. Suppose one of his people, not him, want. No way they together they being together good. Always like this they say. Yeah. Boy, what a mess that was.
That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I don't mind a lot. I have a pulling all of that lot of stuff together into like a conversational English is what I can't do here right now.
It's yeah. There's a lot of items that would need to be converted for sure. Yeah, away from the literal word order. Let's see. Starting at the beginning of it, if two people, they want to take each other. So that's kind of like, you know, take each other in marriage, right? Or be partners. And here's another if expression. If one, so if it's like the one of them, okay? If even one, her or his family, not he, she, or they want, let me write silent it. That's what we have here. So slowing down a bit, ihtiyakatilikam, okay, that's one person, his or her family, okay? So if the family of one of them doesn't like it or doesn't want it, wake yaka tiki. So it's funny that here the yaka is the family, you know, kind of seen as a single unit. That's why we have the single pronoun. It normally means he, she, or it. It's kind of taking the family collectively. So the tilikum wake yaka tiki, the family doesn't like it because the word for it in Chinook jargon is pronounced like this. And you all have perfect pronunciation there. You're totally silent. The word for it is silence. Okay.
The null. The null.
Yeah. Linguists call it a null. I'm trying to call it the silent it, you know, when I'm around actual people that want to learn.
And we all have to really pay attention to the null because Dave discovered the null in his PhD dissertation.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing. Yeah, yeah. No, it's fantastic that you you noticed that because people didn't grasp that originally.
I do like to reassure people most languages in the world have something like the silent it, and English is a weird language. Lots of indigenous languages have silent it type stuff. Wekata, literally not how, but this is a common way to say cannot or impossible. So here it's Wekata Plaska, they live well. So they, the two people that wanted to be together, if their family of even one of them objects, they can't live well. They can't have a good life. Always. Wanasim, always. Kagwa, in this way, they said. So always like this, people would say. It would be said. And just to refer to one more intricacy, such as it is in the grammar here, Tlaskawawa, literally, they said, is also how you'd say, it was said. It was said. So, always, thus, they said, would be a pretty standard way of expressing it was always said to be so, or it was always said this way.
Because they don't have a passive.
There's not really a passive, but you can make that same meaning pretty clear by doing flaska plus a verb. So flaskawawa, they say, functions also as it was said. It is said. Okay, that was a whole bunch of stuff right there. And Norbert, I have a short sentence coming up for you.
Okok Yayim Naika kamdax ich man yakas yatsam. It's probably yaim. You know, it's not a stress marker.
Yeah,
Yaim. Yaim.
Yeah.
Well, that story, that tale, I know, or I've learned one man his story. So that's probably I heard it is one man's story, or one man told it. One man told it. I heard one. Yeah.
yeah. So this story, Yayin, I have an apostrophe in there. Hard to see when it's highlighted. It's pretty skinny. But to tell our watchers, you know, the apostrophe is for glottal stop or catch in your throat. So Yayin, Yayin. Definitely an indigenous sound there. So this story, I heard, although kumtux also means to know or to understand, but we can figure it's in the context of storytelling. So I heard ich means one, and in this indigenous based language, one often means a certain one. In fact, that's the usual assumption when you say ich man, that means you have a certain man in mind. So I heard this one man, he told it. So this story, I heard this one man tell it. And again, there's that silent it. Now it'd be kind of contradictory and crazy to always write down, you know, in big flashing letters, silent it right here. That would kind of violate the the way the language works. I'm going to take that back out, but just to get people alerted, you know, to looking out for silent it.
Can you put it in the maybe in the footnotes?
Yeah, so I will always footnote that kind of thing. But definitely with practice, you will get good at realizing, oh yeah, there is an object to such and such a verb. You figure out just from what's going on in the narration or the conversation. Let's see here, Sam. I have you next.
Clonas ka yaka kumtux, nika wake kumtux. Who knows where he heard it? I don't know.
Yeah, so that sentence shows you both meanings of kumtux. Yeah.
Right.
And so clonas is literally kind of an expression of doubt, right? It's sort of a maybe. But when you compound it with the word for where, which is ka, clonas ka, maybe where, as Sam expressed it, yeah, it means who knows where, God knows where, don't know where. It's a kind of a fixed expression, idiom. So I join those together with hyphens. So who knows where he heard, guess what?
It. Silent it.
Yeah, and I don't know. Yep. So we've had lots of silent hits already in just a few sentences. It's so you see, it's quite common.
I usually do well when I translate clonas as uncertain, which usually works.
Yeah, it has all kinds of meanings, that clonas or clonas. You can stress it either way, any old way. uh, in the letters that my dissertation looks at, for my PhD, I found Native people using SNASS a lot as kind of like, I reckon, I guess, and not necessarily indicating literal doubt or anything. It'd be like, well, I reckon I want a cigarette.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. So that gives you more idea. The next sentence looks like it'll go to Sequoia.
Kopit kakwa quantism klaskawala ankati. I don't really know. So just that they always said it in the past. So I don't know, but like, I guess the sentence is just saying like, I only know that this is how they used to tell it or something.
So yeah, Kopit Kakwa. I'm not even firm that we need the dash here. I mean, it does mean, just or only, like that. So just like that. I had the dash in there because I think of it as more like, exactly that way. That's just how always they said in the past. So you got the idea across quite clearly. Yeah. Just so.
Dave, just a moment. This is a different use of Kopit Kakwa than in the other text where you said it's probably more like saying only so much, or
Kopit Kakwa Hayu.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's a related reason why I'm hyphenating these together here. Yeah, because they can also go on and be joined to further stuff. So if you add the word for much or a lot, hayu, and you have kopakakwa hayu, it means, exactly that much or just enough. Yeah. So it's part of the larger pattern. And all right, let's see the next sentence. Okay, our newest member gets to have the longest sentence. Nicola.
All right. So I think I'm going to need some help, but I'll give it a good try. Plaska wawa spos okok mox telecam. Spos plaska tiki kanamos. Spos plaska telecam wek plaska tiki. Wek kata plaska mitlate lush.
Bravo.
They said if this, not sure what mox mean.
That's
Mox?
two.
These two people, if this, Tiki,
If they
what is
want
Tiki? Oh yes, thank you. If they want always
to each other.
each other, thank you. So if those two want each other, if their people does not want that, not kata. What is kata?
That's how. So not how is impossible or cannot.
So it's impossible for them to live and is thush together.
Which is good or well.
So they're not going to live well.
So have a good life.
They're not going to have a good life.
Yeah, Nice.
Very good.
All right, yeah. So Tlaskawawa means literally they say, and then I'll throw this out to you guys. It could also mean,
It was said, or they,
yeah, it is said, or it was said. If those two people, if they want each other, Kanamoxt, for the benefit of our watchers here, Kanamoxt is literally together. But when you see it come after a, oh, where was that? If it comes after a transitive verb, a verb that takes an object, quote unquote, then it is the object. So Tiki Kanamoxt is want each other. And it's not want together, it's want each other. It's what is technically called a reciprocal pronoun that just means each other. If their people or families, Tilcum, not they want,
right.
and this spotted that pretty good. Silent it in there. If their families don't want it, then impossible, not how. They, the two people, live well. And Mishai Klush, live well, is how you'd say, you know, to have a good life. And let's see, this comes back around on the list to me. Guanasum Kakwa Flaskawawa. Always like that, always thus, they said. So, yeah, people always said so. Be one way to translate that.
Dave,
Always
just on,
thus, they said.
on the previous one, when I say Kanamox, I usually say Kanamox, but you said Kanamoxt. Is that on purpose? Is that how you would say that?
Oh, did you have a pronunciation like without the ST,
No, just the emphasis on the last
the
Kanamox.
stress?
Kanamox.
Yeah, this almost any longish word in jargon, you can hear different people put the stress in at different places sometimes.
Right.
In this word, you often hear either Kanamoxt or Kanamoxt. And that's universal, like every dialect of Chinookwawa has that variation there. The next sentence goes about this far, and I think that's rain.
Okay. P spos klaska tilikam kanamax klaska tiki alta klaska midlight late klaska klush midlight. And if their people and if their people together if their people want them together, then they live alta klaska midlight late. Then they live true. They klaska klush midlight. They have a good life. Their life is good.
Mm-hmm. That was handled very well. Let's see here. And if their people or families, and then this is awesome, and you totally nailed this. Kanamoxt Tlaska Diki. So it doesn't say Tlaska Diki Kanamoxt, right? It doesn't say they want each other. Instead it says together they want. And it is definitely a contrast by putting the Kanamoxt in a different place up there before the verb. Yeah, the intention definitely here is to say together they want those two people to be. right? And partly we just know that from pretty much this whole paragraph, what it's been talking about. But again, just from the fact that the word order is different. So yeah, we've seen a really nice kind of contrasting pair of examples, right? We had tiki-kanamast, meaning want each other, and we had kanamast tiki, kanamast they want. Means they want them to be together. So that's fairly elegant. That's partly reliant on kind of people having heard everything that was said up above just before this, which is always a big deal in Chinookwawa. A whole lot of how this language works is based on the assumption that you've been paying attention.
Mhm.
And I've said it before. That might very well be just a real indigenous value right there. Certainly in indigenous storytelling,
Oh,
Mhm.
paying attention is emphasized very much.
That last part was really a new style thing to me. The Kanamaks Klaska Tigi.
Yeah.
If you use a different word order, it changes everything. But would there be another way to say it
Yeah.
in like Klaska Tilikam, Klaska Tigi Ka Makst Tilikam Michlight Kanamakst Klaska? Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I can put that on the screen here for illustration. Slaska Tilika, Slaska Dicky. I'll go into capital letters. Something like that.
Hmm.
And if they're people, they want that they together exist. So that'd be possibly the shortest alternative way. And it is still pretty long, right? Which brings us to the idea that every human language values usually saying stuff in the most efficient way that it can, right? And so if I take away these changes, you can see how much shorter and quicker it was with John Hudson's original wording. He just had to use one word strategically placed.
Would you say the Kanamaks acts as a kind of adverbial?
Yeah.
It's one of the things that Chinook is always putting the adverb on the front. But I notice it doesn't do that a lot of times here. Klaska Mitlight Klush. It could have been Klush Klaska Mitlight.
Yeah. Well, we have an adverb. That's an excellent point for you to bring up. We do have an adverb at the start of a sentence right here, for example. Always. Always in this way, they said. Similar, this little phrase right here. Together, they want them to be. And also, really here, at the end of the sentence, they will live. There's an adverb before the verb. So yeah, Chinook jargon loves to do that.
Oh.
Again, it's more of an indigenous trait
Oh.
in this language than it has any relation to other languages that are in the history of it, like French or English. Right here, I want to say, so, John Hudson, Mose Hudson has said several times, referred to the idea of people schlush mitleid, or mitleid schlush, right, living well. Here he has mitleid bled, and so that's a French-Canadian word. If you change, the L back to the original R sound, dret. So what is that? Literally, some of you know this, I think.
Droit. In
Straight.
Or right.
Legal.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's
Right
the
is
English
usually a
direct.
good way to think of the let or dret.
Correct.
In Grand Rock, Oregon, they say dret. So yeah, here they're living right. Mitlet let. So it's the idea, if your family approves of your relationship, then you're living right. You know, you're living up to the values of your community.
Could it also mean legal?
Not so much. You know, there were never any laws written in Chinook that
So
people would refer to.
So it means kind of like morally
Uh,
right in this case.
yeah. And like Rain was saying, it also means straight.
I was just reading Saint Ange last night, and he says Mamuk Talit means to judge. You know, Solomon Mamuk Talit.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And in BC, Chinukwawa, those letters written by Native people I was talking about in my dissertation, they commonly, frequently use an expression for that, you know, for like God judging people, or for a judge judging you, sentencing you to prison or something. They say Mamuk courthouse. They would make courthouse you.
Oh.
Mamuk courthouse is the normal BC expression in Chinook.
Wow.
Yeah.
Say Mamuk courthouse then, as in to judge you, or
Judging and sentencing.
okay, okay.
It shows up in, you know, people's you know, discussion of Bible concepts. Certainly, you know, sometime in the Chinook jargon, remote future, the Sky Chief will Mamuk courthouse you. The Sachlitai Astayat and Mamuk courthouse man.
I also love the expression that you had on the blog, the Catechism House. La Catechism House.
Catechism House. That was before there were schools. That was kind of the place where you would study. It was kind of the classroom. Catechism House. That's where most people learned the Chinook Wawa, you know, I mean the Chinook Pipa alphabet, right? This special alphabet that existed just for Chinook jargon in BC. It was usually taught by gathering in the local catechism house of a, you know, mission church. That was a popular activity for a short time. I'm trying to remember who's next in the list.
Yeah, me. It's me.
Whatever it is, go ahead.
Okay. Kakwa kwansam hyaska wawa okok olman tilikam kopa okok chi tilikam. That way, they also say or said, the old people to or for the young people.
Yeah, I think there's a couple details that'll be fun to point out here. Yeah, that way, always, they said, this is probably the 5th time we've heard that today. He keeps emphasizing it, right? Because he's telling you, this is our knowledge. This is our knowledge. It's traditional. It's always been said this way. So thus, that way, always they said, those old man people. Let's highlight that. That's the word for elders. Right there. If people have a copy of the Grand Ronde Oregon Dictionary of Chinook jargon, Chinukwawa, from 2012, right on the cover, it's, you know, the title is something like Chinukwawa Kagwa and Saika Ulman Tilachan Flaska Mama Gumdux Kapan Saika.
Mm.
I don't have that exact, but it's that idea that it's Chinukwa as our elders taught it to us. Nasaika Ulman Tilachan, our old man people. And then, what's in a way the opposite of elders. Well, that's not the accurate way to talk. But chi teligam, what is this? Chi teligam,
The recent people.
or chi is recent, or
Young.
more literal. Like I could have, chi, tick tick. Maybe I went out and bought a new Toyota.
Mm.
So
Well,
a
another
new.
Chaco is newcomer.
So newly, chi chaco is newly arrived,
Mm.
recently. But just to get the idea here that chi is also an adjective, it does mean new. So chi telecom is literally
New people.
new people.
Mm.
It's a very specialized phrase. It's a definite thing to know if you speak jargon. It's a word for the youth,
Mm.
right? It's the teenagers, right? People who are going to be wanting to get married soon. Chi telecom.
I figured that it's the older age group, older than SNASS. What SNASS
Yes, yes,
Interesting. Mm.
yes, for sure. Yeah, chi telecom is a very definite, specialized category
So it
of
needs. Mm.
your community. That's how you'd say teenager. And there are two kinds of chi telecom, right? In Chinukwa, you can guess how to say them, and those are real phrases, that are standardized. So it's by gender, right? So you have chi mon in an Oregon accent, or chi man in a BC accent, right? So that's the new men. That's the youths, the young men, the teenage boys, and chi sluchman
Exactly.
is the new women, and that's teenage girls, young women. So you get kind of a nice lesson here of how people are categorized in your community in this language by age. What do you call cohorts? Would be a good word. And
So
it is really this idea, okay, that this is our traditional knowledge. That's you don't have big words like traditional and knowledge in jargon, but this Mose Hudson storyteller, that's exactly what he's emphasizing. This is our traditional knowledge. This is how it's always been said, and then by the elders to the new people, to the young adults.
so Oman and Chi, that they're opposites, they're contrast then.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then, like somebody just said, of course, both contrast with the Danas, or the Danas Delicum, which is kids, the little people. Okay, that was Norbert. So Sam here.
Kopet Kakwa, Altanikawawa. So just that, like that, now I speak. Kopet Kakwa.
About a dash.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kopet Kakwa.
So just so.
Just so.
Rudyard Kipling would say, just so.
Mhm.
And that'd be literally Kopet.
Just
Yeah.
so. Okay.
So just like that now, I am telling, or I am saying.
Hmm.
That's all I have to say. You hear a lot of people end a story that way in this language. And Sequoia, you get all of the most difficult stuff today. Try this.
Oko Kwan is on Chaco Dread. Let's see. Oh, let me reread what we said here.
This is hard. It's quite short, but it's quite hard.
Is it kind of like in English when you say like and they lived happily ever after, they sort of just they just end the story saying like and it stayed that way. Is it like that?
No.
Like
Halo.
okay. I don't know.
Let's do this word by word, I guess. This is very hard, this last sentence. So this or that, okok, always, and it's long and drawn out here. That's we identify that with kind of indigenous way of talking. One way to emphasize something is to take a long time saying it. Kwanasan, always. And Chaco is literally come.
Oh.
And then often it means become.
True.
And delet. Okay, delet doesn't just mean right and straight and all the other things we said. It also means really, or real.
Hmm.
So, what we've been told here is, here's our traditional view, and it's always been like this. And that leads up to this little last sentence. This always became real or happened really.
Hmm.
Hard to even put that into English, for me. Hard for me to get away from the, literal meanings of each word here. But the concept is, this always
How about this
always
always
came true. It always
This al-
came true.
this always is the truth?
In fact, yeah, came true. Chaco came, literally. Delet is true, as well as a sense of being right and correct and straight. So this always came true. It always happened this way.
Hmm.
Delet, it seems to me even more up in British Columbia, even more than in Oregon. Delet or Deret is used a lot to mean really. Down at Grand Ronde, Oregon, their pronunciation of it, Dret, is actually just the word for yes. You hear Dret, Dret, Dret all the time from Grand Ronde speakers.
Hmm.
Like, Micah Plop, Micah Boston Tayi Dala Alta. Have you got your government check yet? Something that we talk about right now in America. Micah Plop Ukuk, Dret, Dret, Dret. Yep.
Huh. Right.
You don't see like being used that way in British Columbia, though. They'd be more inclined to say Nawitka.
Hmm.
Indeed. That's the end of that story then.
Oh, good. Late Clush.
So yeah, there's a lot of, surprising amount of chewy stuff there for just a paragraph.
Wonderful.
Kind of filled up our hour.
Mm-hmm. Great.
And
Well,
then,
sure, filled up the hour. We are actually at 8:58. So rather than jump into the other story, maybe just spend these next 2 minutes chatting about whatever.
I'm going to turn off my alarm just a moment.
I've got a question for Sequoia.
Yeah.
I watched that interesting video of yours,
Yeah.
but what I got, my question to you is this: where did you get? Oh, I got a question for Dave too. I don't want to forget. But Sequoia, where did you get the word for snail and slug from?
Slug. Man, I just wrote it down in my little dictionary thing. I think maybe it was from the Grand Ronde thing. Let me see if I.
Okay.
I missed the video. What video is this?
Sequoia's got some trained slugs and
Yeah, here you
snails
go.
on his property.
This is what I wrote down for slug, and then I said like this for snail because I just thought I don't know how to say snail, so.
So the word for slug and the word for snail is
Slikaya.
Sequoia?
Slikaya. Slurpy L sound at the beginning.
Slikaya.
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 And the Q is what we've been writing as an underlined K. It's the back of the mouth.
Slikaya. Slikaya.
Slikaya.
And before I forget, Dave, I was looking for, is there in Chinook jargon, we have Boston, we have Dutchman. Is there a word for a Chinese or a Chinese person in Wawa?
Mm-hmm.
And what would that be?
Yeah, it is mostly I've seen it as Chinese.
Chinese. And if you were to spell that for me?
Well, gosh, the way we write stuff, Chaini.
Okay, Chinese. Okay.
Which seems to come, by the way, from another pidgin language.
How do you mean?
From Chinese Pidgin English.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Chinese. Okay.
Yeah, that's a normal word. It's commonly found.
How would they say black man?
Black person.
Black person.
I've seen just literally that, Le'il Dillicum, black people, a black person. There's various ways. Some of them, to our ears now would sound incredibly offensive, but in kind of the 1800s times when Chinakwawa took shape, people used a lot of words that were, that have become rude.
Well, just like Sawash has become, for some people, or Siwash.
Mm-hmm. In English, yeah. This Chinook jargon word for native people, Sawash or Sawash, from the French word sauvage. Yeah. In jargon, it was never rude to say Sawash. But when that word jumped over into, the mouths of people who grew up talking English, then it turned into a dirty word. What do you know? It was one group of people talking about another in an unkind way.
Yeah, I think it must be some kind of a cultural thing then. Like I do hear about this going on in the state of Washington, Now up here, people are saying, yeah, it's a derogatory term, but I think they're just picking it up from somewhere else. Because how on earth could we have a massive rock sitting in our harbor called Siwash Rock all these years, and now to say, well, that's derogatory? Well, it just doesn't make sense to me at all up here. I mean, I understand I understand it's used in a derogatory way somewhere, but not necessarily here. So
Yeah, on the one hand, it's the, you know, traditional name that most people know that landmark by. I'll bet you maybe your Aboriginal people never called it Indian Rock, though. Siwash Rock.
right, yeah, no, it was there's
So maybe that's
yeah.
something going on.
Yeah.
But I think the different tribal groups have different names for it, and so I thought that
Exactly.
they actually use Sawash Rock. And the old timers in BC, they call it Sawash Rock, not Siwash Rock.
Yeah,
And
that's
this is what they say with the Grand Ronde. They consider Sawash is fine, Siwash is not fine. You know, it's,
exactly, yeah. It comes down to certain pronunciations just sounding so incredibly white, you know, so out of tune that people are very offended just by the Siwash pronunciation. Because that word has been used for just a whole lot of ugly concepts, right? It turned into a verb in definitely in BC, like meaning to throw somebody out of a bar. So there's something pretty crude going on there when you're saying to Indian somebody.
he got Siwashed, you know, thrown out of the
Yeah.
bar. Mhm.
Folks, we're at 4 minutes after 9. I want to enjoy these last few weeks of self-isolation here. So, till next week, guys.
Okay.
Okay, new story next time.
Betcha. Okay. Nice seeing everybody. Everybody stay safe.
Klahauya.
Klahauya.
Afke Kanwaks Tsaikawawa.
Alshki Kanamax and Saikawawa. Okay.
Later we will talk.
Alshki Kanamax and Saikawawa.
Yo, Martin.